All right, so the activity that we did not get to on Tuesday was our homework from 2.3. So in our homework, we're going to explain how it would have been possible for a pod with a different from usual mass to move in the same ways described by the two claims. So for this activity, you will write to Dr. Gonzalez to explain how different masses could cause the pod to move in the opposite direction. So we know that the bigger the mass, the more asteroid samples that this pod has collected, and the smaller the mass, the fewer asteroid samples this pod has collected. Now, for our activity 4 homework on 2.3, you've got some instructions at the top here. It says, why did this pod move differently? Could these claims be accurate if the pod had a different mass, which is our asteroid samples? You're going to explain to Dr. Gonzalez what would have happened in each claim that would cause this pod to move away from the space station. So you're trying to explain what would have happened in each claim that would cause the pod to move away from the space station. And then you can refer to the modeling tool that we did on Tuesday. You can refer to this word bank that is going to be down below, and then the cause and effect words and phrases. And so we've done this kind of thing before, but we were just looking at force and velocity. We did not account for mass. And so that is what this homework is doing. We're putting together mass, force, and velocity and trying to explain what happened to this pod. So take about 4 minutes. Answer those questions. Well, they're not technically questions. You're finishing the sentence. And then once you are done, you're going to come back to Pear Deck, and I'm going to have a question on there. If you have already done the homework, then that is totally fine, and you can look at this next slide on the Pear Deck. So if you have not done it, make sure that you do. I'll give you guys about 4 or 5 minutes. And if you have done it, look at this next screen and pick a choice. So you guys saw this last class. I want to see if our answers have changed. So go ahead, take a few minutes. We'll come back at like 11:23. All right, so you should have answered that homework question. Finish those sentences and go ahead and respond to this slide once you are done. It looks like I got about 10 out of 17 people responding to this. Make sure you're back in Pear Deck once you finish and you're responding to this question. All right, so before I show some responses for this, I want to know what you guys know about mass. So how does mass affect our velocity? How does it affect what type of force we need on the object?
Mass affects it because if we have more mass, then it's going to be harder to stop.
Perfect. All right, Jamel says a greater mass will need a greater force and a smaller mass will need a smaller force. Correct. So in order to move those at the same velocity, if we want them to get to the same velocity, the smaller force is going to have a smaller push, right? And so that smaller mass is going to have the greater push, and then that greater mass is going to need a bigger push in order to get the same velocity, right? All right, so let's look at these responses. Those 6 of you that have not responded need to make sure that you respond. All right, that's much better than last class. Okay, so we can say that claim 1 has a smaller mass and claim 2 has a larger mass. All right, so for the last thing today, we are going to do an Edpuzzle. And so we're going to watch you guys individually are going to watch a Bill Nye video on force and motion. And there's going to be questions embedded within it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to stay on Zoom while we watch this. I know that there is a few of you that have a hard time watching videos on Zoom, and so I will message you after I get done explaining real quick. All right, so if you're looking at my screen, I'm going to see who is already on it. So I'm going to go to modules, and then I'm going to scroll down to this 11/12 Bill Nye Edpuzzle, and so you'll see below it, it says November 16th. That is when it's due, and then it is worth 20 points. I'm going to go to the Bill Nye Edpuzzle. I'm going to click on load in a new window. And so it's going to pull up a video for you. And it looks like Tremel, Jad, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people already on it. Perfect. Looks like Eric is already working on it. Alright, so make sure you get into that Edpuzzle. You shouldn't have to put in a code, I don't think. Alright, so make sure you're getting to this Edpuzzle. Go to modules, 11/12 Bill Nye Edpuzzle. I'll see who has signed up already or gotten in. Alright. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to turn my camera off. Once you get done watching the video and answering the questions embedded within it, you can go ahead and hop off. If you have any questions or need any help, just let me know. I'm going to be around. Okay?